John F. Kennedy was president from 1961 to 1963. He was the 35th president. He is known for his inspiring speeches and leadership during the Cuban Missile Crisis, which brought the world to the brink of nuclear war. Presidency was marked by the space race, civil rights movement, and creation of Peace Corps. He was assassinated in 1963 in Dallas, Texas. Lyndon B. Johnson was president from 1963 to 1969. He was the 36th president and took office after Kennedy's assassination. He was known for his Great Society programs, which included significant civil rights legislation, Medicare, and war on property. He also escalated the U.S. involvement in the Vietnam War, which led to widespread protest. Go. Richard Nixon was president from 1969 to 1974. He was the 37th president and initially worked to reduce tensions in the Cold War, notably with his visit to China in 1972. However, his presidency was most remembered for Watergate scandal, which led to his resignation in 1974, making him the first U.S. president to step down from office. Gerald Ford was president from 1974 to 1977. He was the 38th president and assumed office after Nixon's resignation. His presidency was often marked by his controversial decision to pardon Nixon for his role in the Watergate scandal. Ford faced challenges with the inflation and economic issues, but his leadership helped the country transition after Watergate. Yeah. Jimmy Carter was president from 1977 to 1981, and he was the 39th president. He was known for his emphasis on human rights and foreign policy and his efforts in the Camp David Accords, which led to a peace agreement between Egypt and Israel. His presidency faced an energy crisis, high inflation, and Iran hostage crisis, which overshadowed him in his time in office. Perfect.
The 1960s was an era of major social and political change in the U.S. Civil rights movements gained momentum, leading to landmark decisions and legislation like the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965. The Vietnam War was also going on, and many people protested against it, which divided the nation. The 1970s was shaped by distrust in the government following the Watergate scandal and President Nixon's resign in 1974. The decade also saw the Cold War, and tensions between the U.S. and Russia were growing. It also saw the end of the U.S. involvement in Vietnam. Economic challenges and political scandals led to more conservative views by the end of the decade.
The 1960s introduced many movements that still have influence today. Civil rights, feminism, gay liberation, and the environmental movement all had key roles in the 1960s.
The 1960s has many important life aspects, such as the civil rights movement, counterculture, the Vietnam War, and the space race. The civil rights movement were major strides for racial equality, with key events like the March on Washington and the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Counterculture were youth movements that rejected traditional norms, with the rise of the hippie movement and anti-Vietnam War protests. The Vietnam War had protests grew during this time as the U.S. escalated its involvement in the conflict. During the space race, the U.S. landed the first man on the moon in 1969, making it a technological triumph. These include many important aspects, such as economic struggles, the Watergate scandal, women's rights movement, and environmental awareness. Economic struggles included stagflation, high inflation, and the 1973 oil crisis that hurt the economy. The Watergate scandal caused President Nixon's resignation following the 1972 scandal. The feminist movement gained momentum, with key victories like Title IX in 1972. And the first Earth Day was in 1970, and the establishment of the EPA. In both decades, cultural shifts, political activism, and social justice movements played a defining role in shaping modern America.
The economy went through many different phases throughout the 1960s and 1970s. The U.S. went through a 10-month recession from April of 1960 to February of 1961. After the recession, the economy thrived until the end of the 1960s. It was able to grow so much in the 1960s because of the rapid workforce growth and the Great Society programs. Inflation was increasing in 1968, and by 1969, another recession had started. The economy continued to struggle in the 1970s because of stagflation, which is when inflation is high, economy growth is slow, and unemployment is high. The oil crises also had a large negative impact on the United States economy in the 1970s.